I'd like to call the City Council caucus meeting to order for July 28th, 2014. We have no public hearings, so we'll move right into the items for original consideration. If the clerk would read number 1.
Item number 1, under original consideration, a resolution authorizing an SLDC lien to be discharged.
This was discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 2.
Item number 2, a resolution authorizing the city to accept the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Grant.
Also discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 3.
Item number 3, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an inter-municipal agreement with the town of Niskayuna regarding assessor services.
Again, Mr. Riggi? Roll call? Okay. All right, item number 4.
Item number 4, a resolution calling for a public hearing regarding changes to Chapter 186 of the Code regarding Steinmetz park fees.
Again, discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 5.
Item number 5, a resolution amending Resolution 2014-160.
This is just corrections to that, so without objection on consent. Item number 6.
Item number 6, a resolution amending Resolution 2014-161.
Again, dealing with some corrections to something we had passed earlier without objection on consent. Item number 7.
Item number 7, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a tax certiorari with Maine Associates.
Discussed in the Claims Committee without objection on consent. Item number 8.
Item number 8, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a tax certiorari with Mauchain Enterprises, LLC.
Also discussed in Claims without objection on consent. And item number 9.
Item number 9, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a tax certiorari brought by Court Royal Apartments, LLC.
It's discussed in Claims Committee earlier this evening without objection on consent. Is there any other business to come before the City Council caucus? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, Mr. Kosher, seconded by Mr. Riggi. All in favor? Aye. I will now call the City Council meeting to order for July 28th, 2014, and ask that you rise for the invocation by the Reverend Moon Hawk Riverstone.
Good evening. I would like to respectfully acknowledge the recent Supreme Court decision for our sister brother New Yorkers regarding prayer before public meetings, and the well-grounded decision by the court that inclusivity and diversity is of paramount importance and in keeping with our founders' vision of America. Whether we call it prayer or the setting of loving intentions for our meeting, is a call upon the energy, the life force that binds us all as one, that all that matters. I would like to honor Greece, New York City Council's decision to have Dan Courtney, an atheist, deliver the opening invocation and dedicate this evening's prayer to them as well as to all of you here this evening. Let us gather as one and bow our heads, calling each of us to our personal faith, our personal belief of how we be in the world with love, humility, compassion, respect. We welcome the presence of all that is and know that we are all one from one source, regardless of how we call that source to us. Bless us as we gather today here. Bless us as we meet to serve our community, intent upon doing good work. Bless us as we seek to represent fairly and well those who have given us this task, and to represent all members of our community with respect and equality. Bless us as we gaze about this meeting place and see the incredible diversity of person, opinion, station, and cause. May we be many who come to speak with one voice. We seek blessings on the tasks before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom. Bless our work with clarity and accuracy. Bless our decisions with impartiality. We recognize our responsibility to the past and to the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community, and act with wisdom and care. May our personal faiths and beliefs give us strength to act honestly, justly, and well in all matters before us. May we act with grace and humility. May love abound and fill our hearts and spirits. Amen. Om Shanti Shanti. Blessed be.
I'll ask Marva Isaacs to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if the clerk would call the roll.
Ms. Perazzo. Ms. Porterfield. Here. Mr. Erickson. Here. Mr. Crozier. Here. Mr. Riggi. Here. Mr. Mudavaren. Present. Ms. King.
Present. All right, we have no out-of-order resolutions. We have no public hearings. So I'll move to the approval of the minutes from July 14th, 2014, with one correction in we got a name switched at the end. So, okay, Ms. Porterfield, seconded by, Mr. Mudavaren, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Communications and petitions.
Communications presented to the City Council for Monday, July 28, 2014. Under Official, from the Mayor, a list of appointments dated July 28, 2014. Under General, there are none. Under Petitions, there are none.
All right, we'll move to committee reports. Ms. Porterfield.
We've been working on the fees for the Steinmetz Park, and so the Goose Hill Neighborhood Association just wanted to really send their thanks for the work that the council has done, and they're continuing to working on partnering to support the improvements in Steinmetz Park. We got a memo from Camille, and she just wants to express her appreciation to the council moving ahead to set up the fee schedule, and just wants to state that they fully support the upcoming public hearing and looking forward to further deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? All right, we will move then to privilege of the floor related to the legislative agenda. I have 3 people signed up to speak. The first is P.D. Voris.
My name is P.D. Voris, and I live in the city. I'm here to speak against resolution number 3. I don't agree that Schenectady should enter any contracts at this time with Niskayuna. I think everybody on both sides of this line are in extreme financial distress. Assessments here have been a problem for a long time. They're a huge problem in Niskayuna. So is their school district. Their school district is in chaos, the same as Schenectady Schools District is still in chaos. There was a time when Mayor McCarthy was a councilman. He was also an investigator for Schenectady County. He was also a member of the Metroplex Board. I remember him telling Mayor Stratton not to have any communications with me. At this time, Metroplex is a mess on State Street. They have overspent. It should look beautiful because it's new. It's way over budget. The property on the southeast corner of Broadway and State, southwest, has been redone twice and is now vacant. The property next door to it is vacant, has never had any occupancy. The DOT building on the northeast side is a ghost town and getting progressively worse. On the northwest side of that corner, there has been a lot of talk about how successful Bowtie is. The rest of that building is vacant. Along Broadway and in back on Stratton Plaza, there are huge vacancies there. On State Street at Clinton, those buildings have, Clinton and State, those buildings have never been filled. Storefronts at the street level have some minor occupancy. The building next to, on J Street at State, has ground occupancy. The building next to it, the corner, is vacant. All of the upstairs buildings, structures are vacant. I think there's problems at Mohawk Commons. I think, yes, I think Mansion is in distress there. They're not saying it, and I'm not their announcer. I think there's a great deal of distress there. And I think when it comes to the mayor, he's never left his group. They party together, and at this point I say they're walking their baby back home. How much?
Please summarize.
How much stress can you take until you have no choice? And this is from today's Gazette.
Okay. Thank you. Jason Plank.
Council President, City Council, Mayor. Item number 7 and then number 3. Number 7, it's a tax surcharge for Maine Associates. They're the Neurological Center on Brandywine and Union Street. You've reduced their property assessment by 59%. You've dropped it from $1.1 million down to $480,000. So, you know, and you've done it all the way back from 2009 to 2013. So that means now the school district, now the county, and now the city's going to be out of whack of paying back all that money of overpayments. I mean, you know, we need a reassessment within this city. And just giving it to corporations, developers, and contractors, and not giving it to the rest of the homeowners is not right. I mean, when you have a full entire pie, and then and everyone has to eat their own pie, when you keep giving assessments to where the one person doesn't eat their full slice, then the other people have to make up and pay and eat the rest of that slice in order to consume the whole entire pie, which is the tax portion of the thing. So, you know, one city council member says, oh, it won't reduce the taxes for other people because everything else. No, it will level the playing field. It will reduce. The regular homeowners are overassessed. Madam President, you weren't here last week, but this city council went into executive session illegally and improperly, and even Bob Freeman has even told you for the second time. The corporate council needs to go back to school and needs to take a class from Bob Freeman. When you had on the agenda, enter into a municipality agreement with the local municipality. That does not give sufficient notice to the public of what it is. You have item number 3, which was not even discussed last week. If it was, it's probably that one that you entered into municipality, which is the agreement with the town of Niskayuna for assessor services. When you go into executive session, you have to tell the public exactly the reason why you're going into it. And when you write on the agenda item that you're going into a municipality, that you're talking with a municipality, you have to describe what municipality it is. Then you have to describe what services that you're entering into. So the agenda item should have been the City of Schenectady is entering into negotiations with the town of Niskayuna for assessor services. That's what you have to put on the agenda item. That gives sufficient notice to the public. You did not. And you're at risk if the Gazette or the Times Union decides to file an Article 78 under the public meeting law, the whole entire agenda tonight would be completely thrown out. And you would have to re-vote everything over again because you went into executive session illegally. And you discussed an agenda item wrongfully. I'm hoping tonight you can clear up from that agenda item tonight and be able to give us some notice. Thank you.
Thank you. Carmela Ruscido.
Good evening. My name is Carmela Ruscido, and I'm from East Front Street. And I'm here in reference to number 2. I am the ex-treasurer of the Neighborhood Watch. I was a member of the Neighborhood Watch since Wilma Meyerhoff had it. We had a lot of money. I would like to know whatever happened to that money. I got out of the group because of personal reasons on some things that I saw. And I feel that this money should be going for other public safety things. We used to purchase our shirts, our hats, our badges. The radios were donated by an organization, which were the regular radios, and I'm assuming that these radios that he's asking for are the radios that we talked about that I had an argument on. They're regular radios that you would walk around with. They're not your scanner radios. And he felt that each member should purchase their own, which they're not needed because you have your police radio. We communicated through these police radios. I was in when Lieutenant Barnes was in charge, and he went out and got a grant for quite a few radios. Almost every member had one. They were issued to just the presidents and one other person in each neighborhood. So I was really disturbed when I saw this because I'd like to know what he did with all that money. There was thousands in that account. And like I said, with that money, it was earned through different benefits that they had. We had raffles, we had events up at the Central Park, and we made out good. We really made out good. I know I was in charge of quite a few of them. And it may sound like I'm being picky, but I'm just concerned because why should this money be used for something that they had their own money on? So I hope you seriously think of this before you do anything. There are other peoples that object to it, but they're afraid to come down here. I'm not afraid of Fred Lee because he can't do nothing to me. He did. He almost put me in the hospital with nerves. But I'm not afraid anymore. So please, please think about it before you issue this money. They have money, and if they don't, they blew it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have no one else signed up for privilege of the floor regarding the legislative agenda, so I'll declare that portion of the meeting closed. We will move to approval of the legislative agenda. Approval of the consent agenda. Mr. Kosher moves it. Mr. Budavaran seconds it. All in favor? Aye. And then we have one roll call item.
Item number 3, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Niskayuna regarding assessor services.
All right, if the clerk would call the roll.
Ms. Perazzo. Aye. Ms. Porterfield. Aye. Mr. Erickson. Aye. Mr. Kosher.
If I may, thank you, Madam President. This agreement that we're voting on here this evening is certainly one of the things that Governor Cuomo has been talking about in his latest budget, where municipalities, towns, and villages are working together to share services, to cut costs, and most importantly, effectively using their money and resources wisely. And I think it's a great partnership here that we have with the town of Niskayuna, and I look forward to many, many more. And I know we've been in contact with Schenectady County. Hopefully, Chair Jasinski will be bringing a group of us together to talk about this on a countywide basis, how we can do shared services. And again, it's all linked to some tax cuts that are projected from the governor's office in 2015. So I think we're heading in the right direction. I applaud the mayor and this council for moving this here this evening. And I vote yes.
Thank you. Mr. Iggy. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yes, I don't disagree with that at all, but my question with this is Mr. Barber offered his services to the city on a as-needed basis. So I don't know why we're not going to use someone that's already familiar with our system. He's been here for almost a year, and I think his cost per hour would be less than the $86 and a 2-hour minimum that we're going to pay to the town of Niskayuna, and plus mileage going back and forth. So my problem with it is, why not use Mr. Barber? He just doesn't want to do this full-time anymore. He never did. He only was supposed to be here for 8 weeks, and it wound up being almost a year. But he did offer, from what he told me, he offered the mayor that he would come as a consultant and look over any problems that they have once or twice a week as needed. So because of that reason, I think it would be a better deal for us to use Mr. Barber. He was our temporary assessor for almost a year, so that's why I vote no.
Mr. Mudabaran? Yes. Ms. King?
Aye.
The motion carries 6-1.
Okay. All right. We will then move to privilege of the floor.
Move in second. We didn't move or second the...
Oh, okay. Let me backtrack a little bit. For that particular motion, I need someone to move it on to put it on the agenda. Okay, Ms. Perazzo, seconded by Mr. Mudavaren. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
I tend to forget that. Okay, privilege of the floor regarding city business. P.D. Voris.
I'd like to take care of some housekeeping before I get started. In the classified section of the Gazette, there were a list of headstones at Vale Cemetery that had been overturned due to vandalism, and families associated with those stones are responsible for putting them back if they want them put back. And I just want you to know that it's out there, it's in the paper, and contact Vale if you think you belong in, if your name might be there, and let's get it done, even if we have to take a collection. I want to talk about some other things regarding the Gazette. The other day, a tractor trailer barreled down Liberty Street and got caught under the underpass, the Amtrak underpass, and the driver released his cab and took off. I don't know where he went. I never did see him, but the trailer was stuck, having been 3 to 4 inches higher than the overpass, and there was a sign there, 10-foot, 10-inch sign. So anyway, he took 2 tugs for a tow truck to pull him out of there, and I was told that DOT had been called to the scene. I did not see DOT there at all. The Gazette was called. They took pictures. I have yet to see anything in the newspaper notifying people of what had happened there. I have a level of concern about going under there now. I've been on Route 91 and through Connecticut after they repaired it because the pavement fell out from underneath of them. That was maybe 20 years ago, but it happens because of situations like this. The newspaper, Sunday's newspaper, 70 people were processed through the courts. There'll be another one this week, I feel like. I get the police blotter sent to me on a daily basis whenever available, and there are always too many violations. We're hiring officers, and include this when you do your assessments. Don't just over micromanage everything and put it to the people that are left in the middle. You know, it's the guys in the bottom that don't ever pay anything, and it's the guys on the top that take discounts for having provided services and all, to where nobody pays any taxes. And that's just wrong. It's just a bad thing to do. I'm still, I called Tourist Line about the Parker House. They're afraid, the people that stayed there, one was afraid for his life. There's nobody there. He was given the key to come in and out at his own will. And then somebody else complained about the service.
Okay,
and
please summarize.
I'm going to use the Gazette again. Since there's
Very quickly,
such a
your time is
faithful
up.
deliverer of the news, keep calm and blame somebody else. And again, I reiterate, their message is so Schenectady.
Okay, Ms. Voris, your time is up, please.
Huh?
Thank you.
Thank
Jason
you.
Plank.
Madam President, City Council, and Mayor. The Gazette had an article on the assessment where it quoted the mayor saying it would cost $3 million to do a reassessment. Back in 2008, 2009, when Mastroni did it, he did it in-house. And I believe you guys set aside somewhere between $100,000 to do the reassessment for the whole entire city. That is just a scare tactic of reasoning why you don't want to do a reassessment. You know, we offered another solution to it, which is to do 20% of the city and do it over a 5-year period and then recycle again. So every 5 years, reassessment is done. That way you could do it in-house and everything else. Also, too, if you remember, over a year and a half ago, we had the old assessor was removed at $74,000 or around $70,000, and you were going to put an unqualified assessor who was not even certified by the state at about nearly $10,000 more. What we actually need is qualified people in the assessment. If we have qualified people, we hire people, we could do it in-house. And if we do it at 20% of the city and do it each one of the years, it won't cost us $3 million. We would have the assessment. And we don't start with downtown as the first one to do reassessment. We start with the lowest neighborhood. And we work our way all the way back from the weakest to the strongest thing. So that way the people who have been hit the hardest, which is the homeowners in this city for the last 3-4 years, under claims that you've been reducing assessments, they would start receiving some of that tax assessment reduction. You know, we need a reassessment, and we need to have affordable and accessible housing. Even the Gazette even reported nearly 3-4 months back in a report that this is one of the worst counties for affordable and accessible housing. And, you know, like I said 2 weeks ago, I just said the mayor's example of $1,400 and some change, which is a good buy for mortgage and taxes. Nearly 70% of the people in this city can't even afford qualify for a bank loan for that. And then also this Saturday, which was July the 26th, it was the 24th anniversary for the Americans with Disabilities Act. You know, it's been 24 years since the signing of it, and it has been 20 years that the local governments, the states, had to come in compliance with ADA. The city is still not in compliance with ADA, and we still need to move forward in both an affirmative action in hiring persons with disabilities, and also look at affordable and accessible housing and start being able to maneuver ourselves. They said that 40% of the elderly is going to increase in the population, and they're going to need affordable and accessible housing to keep them within their own community. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony Bonhomme.
Tony Bonhomme, Bellevue. I'm going to bring this up again. I've been harping at it for the last 15 months. This morning's paper with that Oak Street Bridge. I mean, it's taken so long. I know that you got to do this, you got to do that. The assessor was at a Bellevue meeting in February and says that the plan should have been drawn up within a month or two from then. I mean, just dragging our feet. I mean, I know you got to do this, you got to do that, but somebody's got to do something to get this thing going. They said it was going to be done at the end of the year, 2015. Now they're going to 2016. They say that the part of the bridge that's really bad is over the railroad tracks. Tell them not to send trains through. I mean, if we can't go over the bridge, how can they drive through, you know, run trains through there? I mean, it's just unbelievable that, when Mr. Tonko had his townhouse meeting at the library, I was sitting with Mr. Riggi and Ms. Porterfield. Mr. Riggi brought up, to Mr. Tonko, can you do something about the railroad dragging her feet? He says, get together with someone from my office and we'll see if we can get the railroad going. That's been a good many months. Now they say the railroad's dragging her feet. Call Mr. Tonko's office. Maybe he can get them going. I mean, it's unbelievable what's going on with that bridge. I mean, and another thing, the city, boom. Blank.
Senior moment.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they were supposed to be fixing the street coming in on Helderberg Avenue, coming into Schenectady. They patched a few holes, but it's still like a roller coaster coming in because the bridge is down. They were supposed to make the streets more accessible for us coming in and out. I have to come from Rotterdam that way to get home because I live right there. And they haven't done anything yet to it. But I still think that our feet are being dragged on this. I'm sorry, people are going to disagree with me, but there's something going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca Siegel.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Rebecca Siegel from Niskayuna. I would like to address you tonight about an urgent matter of public safety that is impacting people and their pets in the city of Schenectady and the surrounding areas. On June 30th of this year, my dog Templeton, a small terrier mix, and I were out for a walk in my neighborhood.
Can I ask you to move the mic down a little lower so we can hear you better? Thank you.
Sure. On June 30th of this year, my dog Templeton, a terrier mix, and I were out for a walk in my neighborhood, like we've done so many times before. As we were walking down the 1200 block of Dean Street, two dogs leapt out of an open window from a home which was across the street from where Templeton and I were enjoying our time together. The two dogs, one at a time, raced over to Templeton and attacked him. The one dog had one end of Templeton, while the other dog had the other end. I didn't let go of Templeton's leash because I was afraid the two dogs would carry him off. Templeton was only 24 pounds and had no opportunity to defend himself. I screamed for help. This was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday. Passersby and neighbors thankfully tried to assist, but they were unable to. One neighbor banged on the door of the owner of the two dogs. No one answered, and by the time another neighbor was able to get the two dangerous dogs off my Templeton, the extensive damage had been done. Templeton was cared for by our vet for 6 days. His surgery included 100 stitches, 20 drains, and he had jaw damage, and he died on July 6th. I brought you two pictures that Mr. Riggi has. The first is a before picture, classic picture of a handsome, playful dog. The second picture is very graphic, and I kind of don't apologize for it. It doesn't even show the extent of all his injuries, but I feel you need to see the evidence of the brutal mauling that was inflicted on our much-loved family member. Following the attack, I discovered the two dogs who attacked Templeton had previous records. If I had known there were dangerous dogs on that block of Dean Street, I wouldn't have been there. I'm not the only person who's been impacted by this. Back in May of 2012, another dog was attacked on the same block. Julie Ball, who's the mother of the victim, she couldn't join me tonight, but she also urges the council to make a decisive action to protect the residents and their pets from further violence. I reached out to a number of officials, and so far Assemblyman Jim Tedesco and Councilman Vince Riggi have shown positive action. I support their efforts completely. I think that the dangerous dog alert is something that people should have the right to know what's going on in their city, how it can affect them. They can make their own choices about where they go and what they do. I don't think that property values will diminish because there are other registries like a sex offender registry that do not affect property values but ensure the safety of your citizens. We're devastated by it. It's very important that the city of Schenectady really take a hard look at this because I know that the city has had troubles with other dogs, and I just think that the citizens of Schenectady deserve another vehicle to make their safety known. Thank you.
Thank you. Marva Isaacs.
Madam President, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Saturday was Hamilton Hill Neighborhood Association Block Party, and I'd like to thank a few people. Community Alliance, Sheriff Dom D'Agostino, David, Electric City Bike Rescue, County Legislator Philip Fields, Hannaford, County Legislator Bob Hoffman, Malcolm Johnson, City Councilman Ed Kozier, Little Sister, Joe Mancini, Josh Nelson, Price Chopper, City Councilwoman Miriam Porterfield, Schenectady Sheriff Department, ShopRite, Sikkim Food Pantry, Stewart Shop, Treasure, Truth and Rhythms, Raven Velour. And I thank them very much for all the things that they've done. The next thing, last Sunday we had Bethel 62nd anniversary. And I would like to thank the mayor, City Council Miriam Porterfield, City Councilman Vince Riggi, and all the rest that was there. And we thank you very much for everything that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations on a successful party. Carmela Rashudo.
Hi again, I'm Carmela Rossetto of Front Street. And 2 weeks ago, I don't have children, but I have godchildren. And 2 weeks ago, I was taking a walk down Front Street towards the pool. I don't go there that often because I don't swim. And I noticed it's a Sunday, the pool's closed. And there are little children standing there. Mommy, why is the pool closed? Well, Saturday I had my godchild and I brought her down there. It's a beautiful pool. It's clean, it's orderly. I had no fear with her being in that water because I don't swim. The lifeguards change duty every 15 minutes. And I went over to one of the head ones and I asked her, I says, how come you're not open on a Sunday? And I was informed that it's not the Y, it's the city council. That you people have the grants that you're in control of. And that in the beginning when they opened up, they were open on Sunday. Then they were informed that they had to close on a Sunday because of finance reason. Now, common sense, families are home on weekends. They work during the week. A lot of these children walk. I see them walking over there. They don't have cars. Why don't you open that pool on a weekend when their parents can take them and close it on a weekday because they're at work? It just isn't fair. This is Schenectady's future, and these children were unhappy. And I know my godchild had a ball in that pool. It was so orderly, she wasn't afraid or anything. So could you possibly, I know it's late in the season, and I wished I had discovered this earlier, because my father was one of the founders of that pool. And I really think it's unfair to our, shall we say, lower income children to be, well, it's almost discrimination. Yes, Central Park is open. They haven't got ways of getting up there unless they take a cab, a bus. So please think about it. Think what you're doing to these children. They need a place to go. They need a place to be happy in. Otherwise, you're going to have bad kids, and it's not fair to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Spiro Zulus.
Mr. Mayor, Council President, and members of City Council, thank you. This evening I'm here to talk about Woodlawn Park and to thank some people and some local organizations. I just want to first thank off the city, the Office of General Services, and Carl Olson and his staff, and most notably Bill Maseka, who's recently supervised a project that has taken place at Woodlawn Park. Bill's been excellent to work with, and he's just been really great in answering all of our questions and working with us. They've been working in the park to install a pavilion that has basically breathed even more new life into Woodlawn Park, so we're very pleased with the work on that. It's basically going to be a 20 by 30 foot expansion to the footprint of the park. It was part of the old building, corner of a non-usable part of the building that was taken down. They've added new facade, new concrete to areas that needed shoring up, new doors, new facade, and they're going to be painting out the new facade this week and adding the roof on top of the pavilion. So we really appreciate all the work that Bill and his staff have done for that, and we just want to recognize also the pride in the work that they've done. We've had our volunteers go over there. They've just, have been really pleased with the work, and the staff have really taken the extra time to make sure they've done things right. We just had a cleanup a couple Saturdays ago, and one of the cement workers actually on a Saturday morning just came over to check out how the cement had cured. So that just speaks to, the amount of pride the city workers have in their work. So thank you to the city for all that. We also recently added a summer youth program, and I also want to thank Councilman Ed Kosher for his assistance with that through his work through the Schenectady County Youth Bureau. This is a pilot program. It's the first year the park's seen anything in over a decade, so we really appreciate that. It's run by the Boys and Girls Club, and they're midway through their 6-week program, and they're doing a fabulous job. There's free lunches through the Schenectady Intercity Ministry program that's provided, and the turnout at the summer program has been really great. So another good thing for the recent development of Woodlawn Park. That program runs Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. Through August 14th, and we're looking to cap out that program with a movie night for August 16th. So more news to come on that. Also, I'm a member of the Woodlawn Neighborhood Association. We have our annual cookout. With our recent change in meeting locations, we needed a new location for our summer cookout. It's Wednesday, August 13th from 5:30 to 7:30. Residents of Woodlawn are asked, to come and join us on that evening, as well as city and county and local neighborhood leaders. Residents are asked to bring a small dish to pass. And food will be provided through our partnership with Kingsway Community. They'll be providing hamburgers, hot dogs, and some salads. So please come out. Again, it's August 13th from 5:30 to 7:30. You can get more information on our neighborhood website, woodlawnneighborhood.org. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for all the work you've put into that park. Frank Wilkes.
It's Frank Wicks, W-I-C-K-S. First, the lady that commented on keeping the pools open on Sunday, I think that's more important than anything I have to say. It should be, I don't know what the term is, but next is I stayed away 3 weeks while I discussed the casino, and I have opinions on it, but I think it's a hard vote, but the first time I wrote a letter to the Knickerbocker News back in 1966 was against the New York State Lottery. It was clear they were promising more than they were going to deliver, and I think the same thing's going to be true with the casino here. But I also can recognize the argument for jobs, so I think it's a tough call. I have 2 good things to say about the mayor. He conducted a wedding of my friends back in May, and along with performing the ceremony, he was very gracious and asked them to go around the building and take photographs, and they were all very happy with it. About last night, the mayor did another good thing. He made Mona Gale a patroon, caught her by surprise, and Karen Johnson started when she was mayor, started the concert programs 25 years ago, and I guess Mona's really got world-class, the best entertainers here consistently, so it's well deserved, as well picked out. Okay, the final thing is, on your budget, you show that police overtime, everything else was within budget, and I've got one suggestion there, and I'll tell you why. I know at least one case where a high overtime policeman is making overtime by, basically fabricating, tickets, and so it's a case in point. I'd like to talk to the police chief about it, but it corrupts the entire process here. It corrupts the district attorney's office. It actually corrupts the city judge. So I've got a handout here, but I'm going to separately give this to each member of the city council and the mayor, and separately I'm going to approach both the city police chief and the district attorney and Mark Blanchard, the city traffic court, over it's abuse on 2 levels. It's abuse just for fabricating a ticket, but it drives up overtime here, and it also corrupts the entire justice system. So thank you.
Thank you. I have no one else signed up, so I'm going to declare this portion of the meeting closed, and we'll move to miscellaneous business of the council. Mr. Riggi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank Ms. Siegel for coming down and telling her story tragic story about her dog. again, I talked with Mr. Mudavaren, and we're going to bring this back up on the agenda for discussion, whether it needs legislation or not, because Mr. Falatico has been in contact with Assemblyman Tedesco's office. But I think Schenectady should be a leader on this, and we shouldn't have to wait for state legislation to get information on a website to make Schenectady safer, because I think it's going to be just the opposite, that I heard that maybe it's going to bring property values down. I don't think so. I think it's incumbent on us to tell people if there's any problem areas, just like if there's a deer crossing sign on the road, people are aware of that, and that's the way it should be. So I don't think it's gonna, I really don't think that's a very good argument that it could bring down property values. Public safety is number one that we have to have, and with that, I really want to see us move forward and have something available for people when dogs have been sighted that have caused problems to other people, and not just their animals, to the person itself. Ms. Siegel's very lucky that she wasn't injured very badly in this altercation. So since we have irresponsible dog owners, I think it's incumbent on us to identify where these dog owners and their pets are, so people have a choice when they're walking their pet, whether they want to go this route or not. That's entirely up to them if they want to do that. Some people like to go whitewater rafting, so that's their choice if that's what they want to do. But I think we have to move forward with this, and I'm glad Mr. Mudavaren will be moving this forward. Our zoning department on Ontario Street, this has been ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. A man is running a business at 569 Ontario Street. Why it's still allowed to run is beyond me, but it's done at night, so somebody from zoning, if they have to identify it, I saw the person in action, I'll be happy to sign an affidavit. People that work for the city have seen this in action. I'm sure they'll sign an affidavit. This man puts floodlights up at night and floods his driveway while he's working on cars. It's a residential area that can't be allowed. And there's a body shop on Cleveland Avenue. Mayor, I know I talked to you about both of these. We have to do something about this. We can't just let it go. People can't be annoyed with floodlights on and cars being worked on in their driveways, 4 or 5 cars at a time worked on in the street. I witnessed the guy working on the car in the street. It had no fender on it, headlights were out of it, and he was working on the car in the street. This is all part of quality of life, and people that own homes and live there have the certain the right to not have to put up with that nonsense anymore. I don't know who else to talk with anymore. I turned it over to Mr. Streichman. The people that live on the street, I've got dozens of calls from people that live there complaining about the same thing. One of your department, assistant department heads have witnessed this. It's just going on and on, but it has to stop. We can't allow that. When I ran a business, I couldn't run it out of my driveway when I ran my business. Oh yeah, it'd be great for me. I'd certainly have low overhead, that's for sure, but you don't do that, and you don't do that to your neighbors. Why this man is empowered, I don't know, but I'd like to see that stop, that's for sure. Just quickly, I applaud the Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association for working around the Norwood Avenue area for the Mayetta Way unveiling at the end of August 27th. But the condition of the Little League field, I have to say, is appalling when I went by there. I just can't believe it. And the Bellevue field is no better. If there aren't leagues there that are using these fields, then I think we have to look into what we're going to do with that area, because it doesn't look good. It's overgrown. It's just awful. And if the neighborhood association has to take care of it, Bellevue isn't any better. You just look down 4th Street when you go by there, and there's the weeds that are coming up on the fence lines and stuff. It's terrible. This is city property, so we're going to have to deal with it somehow. If the Little League can't get the volunteers, then I think we're going to have to come up with some kind of plan. And Ms. Porterfield, maybe we should talk on this in Health and Rec at some point, because it's just, these fields can't be left in that disarray, and especially the Schenectady field. Anybody that comes off of 890, that's the first thing that they see, and it's just, it's not good. the dirt infield, which the Valley Cats put a sod infield in for them 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago. But the dirt infield, there's all weeds growing out of it. I'm afraid it's going to go back to what it was in 1948. It's going to be just a lot with trees in it again. That's what's going to happen. But if that's what has to happen, that's what has to happen. We can't leave it overgrown like that. It's just, I was appalled to see that as somebody that was involved with Little League organizations, and it's just, I know it's tough with volunteer organizations, but it needs some attention, that's for sure. And lastly, this coming Saturday, a week from Saturday, the 15th Annual Bellevue in the Park, sponsored by the Bellevue Preservation Incorporated, will be held Saturday, August 9th from 12:30 to 4:30 p.m. Rain date will be Sunday, August 10th. All Bellevue residents, their families, and friends are invited to enjoy the music, food, and prizes. Also for the children, there will be a clown face painting, smokehouse by the Schenectady Fire Department, child safety registration by the Schenectady County Sheriff Department, pony rides, and gifts. And also, the Bellevue Farmers Market continues every Thursday from 4 to 7 until September 25th at Maranatha Ministries parking lot, 2176 Broadway, corner of Thompson Street. But if you can make it to the Bellevue in the Park, I know the Hamilton Hill picnic was great this Saturday, and I like to see that neighborhoods are picking up on this. Goose Hill people have done it. But the Bellevue, this is the 15th annual, and it's a good event, and everything is free, so I just encourage everybody to stop by. And just, again, I want to remind people and like to tell anybody that's involved with playing for Mike Maeda to please contact me or contact the clerk's office, and they'll contact me. I'd like to have their information. I'd like to personally invite them to come on August 27th, 11 a.m. in the morning, for the unveiling of Mike Maeda Way. So I just want to get that word out there. My number is 377-8326, 377-8326. Please, anybody that played for Mike or played in that era there, please contact me or contact the clerk's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Madam President. So, here to make a little bit of announcement this evening. I talked to you earlier today, and my fellow council members, but some or most of you already know that I intend to announce my resignation from City Council. It's a difficult decision for me. This is a job that I took very seriously, very passionate about, but as a lot of you know, that I took a new role, a new job this January, which is time-consuming and constantly evaluating priorities. I've got a growing family, and which needs to come first. And so with so many irons in the fire, there's only so many hours of the day that I've decided that I need to refocus on my career and also my family and spend my time there. Being a member of the council for me is not just showing up on Monday nights and coming to meetings, but also spending time in the community, doing research, lots of planning and thinking and communicating and working with people to get things done. And it's time consuming if you want to do it right. And so I appreciate working with all of you, and I really enjoyed it. I think that my time on the council has been very educational. Prior to getting involved in government, I wasn't sure what the heck our leaders were doing. It seemed they were never making me happy. But once you get involved and you learn how government works, this is how it's supposed to work. We come to these meetings, we discuss issues, we debate, we disagree, we wrestle it a little bit, and then we vote. And at the end of the day, that's how government's supposed to work. And the more people get involved, the better it works. I'll keep it somewhat short, at least for me, and just encourage people from the public to continue, and if you're interested, to get involved in government, participate, and that's how you make your community a better place. So thank you very much, and tonight will be my last meeting, council meeting, and that's about it, so thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Perazzo.
Yeah, just a point of clarification to start out with regarding the agreement with Niskayuna. It's my understanding that our current assessor tendered his resignation as of August 1st, which is why we are entering into this agreement. I also want to point out that this is a temporary agreement. While we do not have an assessor, but luckily we have a very astute deputy assessor that is working on getting her certification after she has already earned her MBA. So there is a maximum amount that is allowed through this temporary agreement with Niskayuna, just to get us through and make sure that we're covered and we have a qualified assessor during the time that our deputy is getting her certification. I also wanted to say thank you to both the police department and the Parkwood Avenue residents. Recently we had a situation where a group of teens traveled down the alleyway tagging garage doors and fences and all sorts of different things on their way, and the residents mobilized very, very quickly and called the police department. And the police, a big thank you, because that's certainly part of our graffiti abatement program. The police responded very quickly, and they were actually able to apprehend the youth and make them responsible for what they did. And since much of the graffiti has been covered by homeowners, but you know, it's one thing to send that team of youths out every 2 weeks to cover graffiti, but it's another thing to have people be responsible for their actions. So it's a balance, and I just want to offer my thanks to both of them. And also an open invitation always, if there's graffiti in your neighborhood, if there's an address you need to report. The city is very, very busy and does a great job of supplying me addresses and getting letters out, but it takes a village. So if anybody has a property to report, whether it's, you know, somewhere that someone lives or a fence or whatever the case may be, I'm always open to receiving that information. And lastly, I just wanted to make sure everybody knows about the Dan DiNicola Memorial Little Italy Film Festival. It started last Friday night. Great series of outdoor films right behind More Pareca. And this was kind of the brainchild of Maria Papa, who is a former student of Mr. DiNicola. But it's going to be on 5 consecutive Fridays. So the next 4 Fridays, they have The Big Night, Fellini's 8½, Roman Holiday, My Cousin Vinny, still coming up. So it's just good family fun in a nice atmosphere. So attendees are encouraged to bring their own lawn chairs or blankets. And the rain date, should it rain, although we are having a beautiful summer because, you know, every day is beautiful in Schenectady, it is the following Saturday if it does rain. So for further information, you can call 788-7710. Again, that's 788-7710. Or click on the Dan DiNicola Little Italy Film Festival page on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you. First of all, one of the comments that was made today at the rail regarding the Front Street pool, certainly we can look into, I'm sure there's a reason that it's not open on Sunday, but let's, you know, I'm committed to looking into why it's open certain days a week and not others. There was some thought put into it, and so I can have an answer for the person that came to ask that particular question. I'd also just like to reiterate what Ms. Isaacs has said regarding the block party, and to thank everyone that came. It was a very huge success, and the neighborhood association was able to get some more folks involved in being a member, and so that's what it takes to bring communities together. And there was a lot of energy that day, and people had a really good time, and so it was good to see. And so I just see more positive things happening, not only in Hamilton Hill, but throughout the city. So I'm really pleased to see that. With that, I just want to announce that there's going to be a basketball league that's involving a group called Unity Alliance, and they're working with the police department so that the police have a positive interaction with youth, and that's starting this coming Saturday from 12 to 4 at Jerry Burrell Park, and every Saturday through August. So folks can, it's free, and folks can come and get involved in that. With regard to the Little League fields, I have to agree with Mr. Riggi that they certainly need some attention, even if no one's using them, you know, so that our city looks good overall. So that's certainly something we can discuss and definitely need to address. With regard to my colleague, I hate to see you leave. We've worked on a lot of things together, and I certainly have appreciated the time spent being on the council with you. What I really appreciate is that we didn't always agree on everything, but we were able to discuss it, and we walked away, each of us, with our own opinions, and everything was fine between us. So I wish you well in all your future endeavors, and good luck to you and your family. You're welcome.
Mr. Kosher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Councilman Erickson as well. These past 4 months have flew by, but certainly I've known you much longer than that. You know, from the time we worked with Mayor McCarthy on his campaign and as committeeman and walking the streets many, many days. And again, the leadership that you've provided to this council, especially with the finance. I always compared you to Mark Blanchfield. You followed in his footsteps, and I know you're good friends with him. So again, best to you and your family, your endeavors, and certainly stop by on the other side of the road, but not too often. Just a couple of quick comments. Water, water, water. Everything's about water. Sunday morning, I happened to text the mayor at 7:30 in the morning. There was a huge water main break right outside of Cumberland Farms on Watt Street. And I was driving that morning at 7:30, and there were two folks out there who had already had their pickup truck blocking the street for us. The water was so intense that the entire street from curb to curb was washed out. And I just wanted to give a special thank you to Mr. Bear Willie and Shane Squarsati. And Mr. Mayor, I'm going to give you their name and address so you don't have to jot it down, but I told them that you give them a thank you letter. But these folks were out there at 7:30 in the morning directing traffic. They had these vests on that Cumberland Farms gave them. I took the other end of the street, and with the cooperation of the mayor's office and the water department, it was just incredible the amount of water that was flowing down there. So again, thanks to these residents who, again, on a Sunday morning were out there. But also a note, and I want to bring it back to our council for committee somewhere down the road. There was a letter to the editor, I think it was yesterday or the day before, regarding a woman with a service line, a broken water service line, again, where Paul happened to step in from the water department and DSS was involved. Well, believe it or not, I was involved with a very similar situation just a couple of weeks ago as well, with a grandmother. And Mr. Mayor, you were out of town at that time, but she was also given an eviction notice. The water main was leaking. It was a water service to her property, and she was a grandmother raising 4 children as well. Property owner was up to date on her taxes and was being told that they would be evicted on the following Friday if the water service wasn't repaired. Well, needless to say, came down here to City Hall, worked with the folks down in the water department, gave us some contacts. Everybody was absolutely tremendous. We ended up going to DSS as well because she was receiving public assistance, and the county did end up having to pay for that service to be repaired. But I just keep thinking back when we talked about it in committee meeting, you know, whether we have our own crew or how can we provide this service to folks who are needy. I mean, there are times when we cannot make ends meet to have and her service was a $4,000 repair bill. So I'd like to maybe put it back on our agenda somewhere down the road. Again, we mentioned the town of Niskayuna would actually dig it up. The town folks dig it up, they make the repairs, and then it gets included into their tax bill as long as their taxes were paid up and up to date. And this certainly was a situation with this woman as well. But I ended up even driving to DSS that day. So a great story, and again, just a follow-up, I think, with the other letter to the editor. So, and it happened with you on the Moyston, or was it Moyston Street, I believe it was. So, anyway, if you haven't noticed, on Brandywine and Albany Street, folks, the light is up. They have the light up there. John Cluccio and his crew, and Mr. Mayor, and thank you very, very much for, I'm sure you had a hand in that. We now have the lights are up there. They're all covered up in bags, so they're going through the testing process now, where you have the signals on all 4 corners. The lights are there. There's timers that are going to be on there. There's actually voices, you know, similar to the sound. So thank you to everybody, and I'm very sorry the folks who have been here for the last month or two looking for that, but the work is done, it's complete, and again, thank you for the council members who were involved with that, and of course, John Cluccio and the mayor's office for following up with that. The Schenectady School District, there's a very brief article on it today. The school district is going through the redistricting program. As you may be aware, they're going back to the K through 5 format in 6, 7, and 8 in the high school. There's a meeting at Schenectady High School tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the high school commons. For those parents or anybody who is a City of Schenectady resident who is interested in making any public comments or even sitting on the committee. I am a member of the committee as well. There's about 10 of us that are sitting on there. And again, this is going to be redistricting for the September 2016 school season. So we've got some time to work on it, and again, it's important that we get our citizens and residents, and most important, parents who reside in the city to attend this meeting tomorrow, because we're having some time. And again, as the Superintendent Springs indicated, it's very important when we buy a city in the city, or we buy a home in the city, we want to know what school our kid is going to go to, from elementary to middle school to high school. And again, as you've known, the district has been shuffling kids around for the last 7, 8, 9 years, closing schools, reopening schools, and so on. But this is going to be a plan that we really hope to hold firm to. And again, it can only be made possible with input from the residents. So we hope you can join us on that. And also with the Parks Advisory Committee, I'm not so sure if that committee, that group is active or not, but we seem to be having so many different issues with the parks, with the pavilion and with the pools, and there was another one with we had vendors that are actually located in Central Park now, near Tiny Tot Land, and we had an issue with a couple of trucks that were leaking vegetable oil right onto the pavement. We had them running gas generators right next to the Tiny Tot Land, and the problem is we have no regulations intact to enforce whatever violations these folks are on or are doing. So I'd really like to maybe, if we can get the advisory committee up and moving again, I'm sure that we've got some folks involved. The mayor has some appointees on that, and just to talk about maybe before budget, to maybe include looking at all our parks, the pavilion, the ponds, both Central Park and Steinmetz, to see how we can not only make repairs for the next season, but to have a maintenance plan in place as well for the next 5, 6, 7 years, so it's maintained properly. And the Woodlawn Picnic, Spiro, thank you very much for coming down. Ms. Porterfield, I just made a note, and I think you said it, but I'm not sure if you did, but the picnic is at Woodlawn Park itself. It is at the park this year. We're no longer meeting at the Woodlawn Reformed Church, so it'll be Wednesday, August 13th at 5:30 to 7:30 at Woodlawn Park, which is right off of Kings Road. And I look forward to seeing everybody. And thank you. I've exceeded my 3-minute limit. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mudavaren.
Thank you. Just a few announcements. The Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association 4th Annual Community-Wide Garage Sale this Saturday and Sunday, August the 2nd and 3rd from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the weekend permits only $10. You're asked to contact the president of the Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association, Pat Smith, at 370-2260 for more information. And also the Mount Pleasant Merchant Association 2nd Annual Customer Appreciation Day and Sidewalk Sale this Saturday, August 2nd from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Please come out and support these events. And I just want to touch on a few things. I would like to thank John Coluccio and team for installing the walk sign at the corner of Brandywine and State. And on behalf of the Rodriguez family, they send their thank you and they appreciate the work that they're doing. Just to touch on item number 2 with regards to funding the neighborhood watch. The neighborhood association is not receiving any fund directly. These are items that's going to be purchased by the police department and handed to the neighborhood association, and items only worth $1,000 that they needed to carry on their function for the remainder of the year. Mr. Erickson, on behalf of myself, we're surely going to miss you, and I want to wish you all the best and your family. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, Carl, I thank you for your service. Wish you the best in your career, and you'll be missed here at City Hall. On the Front Street pool, I think that is open on Sundays, but the pump was broken, and so it was closed that one weekend. But I'll check into that. The water main break, Ed, you came through and alerted everybody. We mobilized and got it taken care of, and I didn't get up there at the end of the day. We were supposed to get the road rebuilt today and repaved, so I think everything is back in order and up and running there. Vince will follow up on those 2 problem places on Cleveland, Ontario. They're again supposedly taking care of it, but they're still operating. I don't understand the vicious dog concept that's been floated by Assemblyman Tedesco. It seems to be geared more toward headlines as opposed to results. Every case that's adjudicated in New York State courts, there is a record created of that. So those records for vicious dogs already exist within the court system at the state level. The state could make that available on a website or on a searchable database that would get us what I think everybody wants, is to have that information out and accessible to the public. And even some of the proposals, I don't support just notifying people that there's a dog on a certain block. I believe people have to be held accountable for it, and the information exists that the individual owns the dog has been found to be vicious. That specific information is there, and that is what should be made available. So that, again, I don't know what the law department has done specifically in terms of the research, but the assets, the information, the ability to implement that exists at the state level, and I would hope, again, people move toward more of a results-oriented process than somebody who's just looking to generate headlines. Madam President, thank you for the time.
Thank you. I want to congratulate Mona Golub on being named a patroon. I think that was a good thing on the part of the mayor. She has certainly contributed a lot to this community, and very well deserved. Also had a conversation with Mr. Olson today about the Central Park Pavilion. And we just want to make sure people are not concerned. The pavilion, it's clean, it's safe. We will probably look at putting in a new roof as part of the capital campaign. But for the time being, it's being used constantly. He said there were hundreds of people there this weekend. Everybody had a good time, no issues. So people should not be at all concerned about the pavilion. It's as I said, it's being well maintained. And lastly, Carl, again, I'm sure that was a difficult decision, and I just want to thank you for your years of service, and I certainly wish you all the best. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, Mr. Erickson, seconded by Mr. Mudavaren. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.